Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
Everybody's got a to-do list. I have a to-do list, and item number 3 is make to-do list. Do you get it? Drop off the dry cleaning. Pick up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. Now that I really do want to do. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. I'm doing it. Extra money in my pocket. I want it. It just may be the most rewarding to do you do today.
Now Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio. A downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast, Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spike's Car Radio. It's good to be here. Just back from New York. Zuckerman and I were both in New York. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or Zuckerman. You would know that we were both in New York for Seinfeld's big 65th birthday party, Zuckerman.
Ooh, 65.
Isn't that nice? One
Amazing.
of the greatest parties of all time, right?
I have never been to a party. I've never been to a party like that, and that was the greatest party I've ever been to.
It was so much fun. I think we can say who was there because I heard this morning Howard Stern talking about it. Howard Stern was there. Chris Rock was there. Chappelle was there. Bill Maher was there. David Letterman was there.
Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers. Martin Short. Steve Martin.
The two
was
Martins.
there. Amy Schumer, very pregnant and nauseated, was there.
Bradley Cooper
Bradley
with his
Cooper
his hot wife.
Yeah, and
she
they
gave
sat
me the
right
eye.
next to us with Howard Stern.
Did you see her give me the eye?
No, why? What did you say about her?
No, she just looked at me kind of like, she'd rather
don't touch
him.
me?
Dump him. And she looked at me like, what a personal injury lawyer's the guy for me.
That
Fuck
did not happen. No, I remember Howard, the waiter spilled water on Howard Stern, and
he
that
was
funny.
upset. As
but
he
you know what
been.
it was nice. Now I don't know Howard Stern. I've never met him, but I'm a huge fan, and I actually don't even want to meet him. I just think he's great. He was so happy the whole night. He was just it was the type of party where everybody was just relaxed. There were nobody had their phones out. Nobody was taking pictures
People
with their
had
phones.
a good time,
and we all just had a good time.
It was a fantastic.
His family got up. Jessica got up and crushed with unintentional stand-up about Jerry and life with him, which was amazing. But she was super funny. Sasha, his daughter, got up and made a beautiful little speech, and she said something funny based on a story that Bill Maher told
ruined her
about
life.
Jerry that ruined her life. You can hear it on Howard Stern. The food was amazing. It was at the Carlisle Club. Just a nice little. It was such a perfect.
How many people you think were there? Was it
80.
75?
80. I'm pretty sure that was the
How
number.
did I get on that list? It was like unbelievable.
We had a little car guy section going on. We had, myself, you, my wife, Erica, and then we had Joe Cavallari, who restores the 550s. There were all these little interesting little sections of this whole
and a very
place.
small place. Can I give you a compliment?
But that's what made it so funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to compliment you.
Please.
Now, everybody on the show is familiar with, you can be kind of rude at times. So, but now having established
in real life or on the show?
In real life, too.
This is a persona. This is a persona.
This is in real life. So, you are known for being a little bit rude, and I want everybody who thinks you're rude to understand that there we were. And, really, I am like the last guy on the list. And you made sure that whenever anybody came up And we're talking famous people came up to say hi to you because you know a lot of people there, and you would always introduce me. This is my friend Paul. He's also my co-host. And that was an incredibly kind, courteous, and generous thing to do to make me a part, to give me a little bit of credibility. I really thought, my God, what a great guy. That is really nice.
That's very sweet of you to say. Well, I felt for you. I've been in that. I know what it's like to be around a crew like that for the first time. It's terrifying, right?
Jesus, every time I looked at the door, somebody bigger was coming in the door.
And it's intimidating, and I wanted to make sure you didn't
you were
feel
very
isolated.
kind and courteous. So to all those people who always tell me how rude he is, yes, he is rude. But when the time comes, I can't fend for myself, he was there.
We had a lot of fun. You know what's amazing was the M&M presence from the moment we landed in the airport. They were at the M&M guy, the M&M store in Times Square. Did you eat any M&Ms?
No, I don't eat those anymore.
I forgot to get them.
But we did
How much weight have you lost from not eating M&Ms?
I'm down I'm going to tell you something. In the past 2 weeks, I'm down 5 pounds.
Wow. And that's just from quitting M&Ms? Peanut M&Ms?
Quitting sugar. But peanut M&Ms started on January 1st. And since January 1st, I'm over 10 pounds down. And peanut M&Ms are definitely the devil. And where I made a mistake was thinking that Kind bars are healthy, and they're really a candy bar masquerading as something healthy. But it's like eating a Snickers bar.
Yes. You need something that has two things. A bar that has low sodium and low sugar. And you have to. But you know what they do, especially in the Kind bars? They put that little nutritional.
Yeah, you can't read it
under the flap.
And
you have to lift the flap, and you don't want to lift.
I would need a fucking microscope anyway, so I wouldn't be able to read it. But
like that TV commercial, the giant menus.
Yes,
and a couple of the giant menus.
It's so true.
That's good. Well, I'm glad you had a nice time.
It was fantastic. We stayed at the Peninsula in New York. That was a great hotel.
That was a last-minute change, and it was super fun.
They
had all the old electronic tech. They had by the television set. They had a brand-new, beautiful television set, but to the right of it, they had this little, input for your Handycam. It literally said Handycam input and a big button that said video, which I'm guessing in the 90s was you bring your Hi-Cam 8 recorder and you plug it in and play back your videos?
So that you took that day from when you went to the World Trade Center.
And all of these little disc inputs, but the discs were as big as
floppy discs they haven't made in 25 years.
Yeah, that was weird.
And I liked it. I love yesterday's future today. What people thought was going to be, we're in the future. And it's like, what is this shit?
It was good to be back in New York. I stopped in at Wempe, which is right on the corner. I don't even know.
Wimpy.
Is that how you pronounce that place?
Okay, Wempe. But I think it's
Wemp? Am I thinking of the Volkswagen distributor?
I think it's Wempe, and it should be next to Wimpy's, that horrible
place. And this,
place.
My friend who works there, this is my friend, just an acquaintance and a fan of the podcast, Michael showed me that new GMT Rolex, the brand new one, the 2019, that I had not held in my hands, and I could not believe how light and airy and vintage it felt.
Are the colors different?
They're not that different.
But
here's the thing. I said to him, and I go, well, first of all, I'm so impressed with the lightness and the vintage feel of a modern watch. Like, to me, it's a perfect thing. Like, if you could do this with cars, if you could make that new 911 look and feel just a little more like a 783 911 RS, you know what I'm saying? More than a modern car. That's what they have with this watch. And I said, can I have this one? He had it in the box. He goes, look, I've got it. The minute I took it out, someone is like, oh, look at that watch. Another guy comes over, and he goes, hey, does Erica know what you're doing? And I'm like, that's my wife's name. I went, oh, my God, that's weird, all right, that someone's saying, does your wife know you're buying a watch right now? But I said, how come it's so hard to get these watches? And I left. He gave me an explanation, and it's...
You should share it, because it's so astounding.
Well...
How much do you have to spend to be on the list?
I don't know if I should share that.
Come on, I think so. Yes.
All right. Well, what I was told at least was, and whether he's being truthful or not, and I don't want to attribute to this to them, but it was people who were spending, $5+ million a year in Rolexes get the first round of watches.
So wait a second. It wasn't just watches, it was Rolexes?
It was Rolexes.
Come on.
Unless I misunderstood him,
Okay,
it was completely.
Whether
it was
it's Rolexes or watches,
it doesn't matter, right?
It's insane.
He was saying, up in the 8s, you're guaranteed. As you start to move down, you have to start to wait. And he goes, look, I'll be honest with you, we have lots of $1 million customers who
That's
are
$1 million a year.
Wait a second. Lots of $1 million customers, plenty of them, tons of them who are waiting for their watches right now. In other words, they haven't really been serviced yet with respect to this new GMT.
I find that to be jaw-dropping. That astounds me. How could you spend $1 million a year on watches?
I don't understand it.
I guess it's what people say to us about cars, but at least I can.
Look, we understand watches, Zuckerman.
I can't understand spending $8 million a
Is
year
there
on watches.
a business? You're in the world of business. Is there a business where you're buying that many watches for your customers, or your clients, or your employees?
$8 million in
Right.
a year?
Yeah.
No.
Because I know a guy who sells watches out in the valley and sells Patek and all sorts of uber rare stuff, and he tells me stories all the time. Polacek, the Polacek guy, right? And he when we see him out in the porch in Malibu, he tells me stories of guys who will just walk in and spend $6 million in 1 hour on some watches. But they're all special edition, $500,000, $1 million complications, right?
You don't have to wind them for 378 years.
Yeah, in theory, you're buying 8 watches a year, but he's like, he does say, like, they'll just come in and drop millions in an hour and just go, give me 7 of them.
Where do these people get this money?
Why
don't I
it's
have
money
it?
laundering, right? Isn't that? Is this money getting washed?
That's right. You buy the watch, you sell it. There you go. Well,
Right.
you just explained it to me. Why else would you buy that shit?
Yes. Well, now that we've gotten to the bottom of
It's
that.
all crime and corruption.
And, Jerry, we've got an amazing gift coming for Jerry. We're not going to tell you what it is right now, but it's something Zuckerman and I are having built for him. When it's done, it will be presented to him. I believe it'll be done in a few weeks, Zuckerman. And it's really something period and something Southern California. And we think he's going to like it. And we'll have the builder on the show. We're going to have the builder come on and tell us about the project and
The history,
and
everything.
the history, the whole deal. It will resonate with all of you listening because we have discussed this on the podcast before.
Yes.
It has come up. That's all I'm going to tell you. But we're super excited about it. And we're going to get Jerry back on, right? Because
It's got to be soon. He's got to come out.
he's coming out. He's going to be out maybe next week. We can get him to come in because
really?
I want to. We're going to a ball game. I think we're going to the Dodgers. But I'd like to discuss. He's obsessed with MGBs right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? You were pinging me about something. Oh, Volkswagens.
We know somebody's got some great VWs, and I have a thing for a couple of them, at least one.
Have you driven my Volkswagen
Yes,
police car?
with you in the car.
And you want one after that?
I just love the way it looks. At this price
Well,
point,
the cars that you and I looked at are different because they're not police cars.
That's right. I bought a car today.
You did?
I did.
Wait, what?
Yes.
What did you do? Look at that smile.
Okay.
I can never get a straight story out of you. I'm trying to sell cars. Now I'm buying cars.
Okay, this
what do you
was
do?
an
You treat
easy-
me like your wife.
This was a very easy price point.
Okay, what do you got?
It is a 1991 BMW 318i convertible.
Oh, here you go with the BMWs.
Yeah, okay, but listen, here I go. First of all, since you cast that aspersion, I
like the BMWs.
I'm going to.
But I'm just saying,
drive,
you always go out and buy these on your own, is what I'm saying.
What do you have to offer me in this regard, other than derision? You don't have any real knowledge or experience or advice.
That's not true. And I would say I would not get on the wrong side of these purchases because I know you're an enthusiastic driver of these cars and enjoy them, unlike our other friend who tends to buy stuff, drive it once or twice,
Right.
and then hand it off.
Well, this particular car is a 91. It's got 30,000 miles on it, and it is absolutely out of the wrapper. And it is not expensive. It is a very small purchase, but it is so perfect looking in that boxy idiom that they were building in at that time. And it's a perfect match to my E30 M3. And I will tell you, I will lend this car to you for a drive up PCH. It's got no power. It's got no nothing except purity. Purity of purpose from that time in BMW history. It's just a box
as
that
long as
goes.
it relaxes me, Zuckerman. That's all I care about with these drives. I just want to be relaxed.
I know a way to do that. You can drive over to
Miss Dr. Feelgood's.
Happy Ending Massage.
I know a motel.
Yes.
You know Dino's by the airport.
Yeah, kimchi. And
You knock on the door twice at 2 a.m. You say Zuckerman sent you. Come on in.
Come on in.
I got some stuff for you. Here, check it out. Takes a knife and carves open the mattress. Here, put one of these in your pipe, boy. Yeah, I can relax you.
You've been in that motel.
Dino's was right across from one of my production spaces, yeah.
Really?
We would look out the window and watch what was going on there. It was hilarious.
Den of iniquity.
It
There
was-
is
yeah,
really
yeah.
no any motel in town has more crime happening in those 26 rooms are hotbeds of some type or another vice or criminality.
I think Dino's is trying to turn a corner, and I don't know. That's
Sure.
just my opinion about what
They're-
I thought was going
they're
on there
they've
as I typed on my little computer looking out the window and saw mysterious characters with shopping carts and police jumping in there every few minutes.
Exactly.
But
And the pool was empty and had some box spring in it, right?
But I just like it was Dino's. Like, hey, it was Dino's.
Dean Martin, yes.
And
he
I like
stated.
thinking about the European tourists who say, hey, I'll stay at
Exactly.
Dino's. Look at that. It's the cheapest on Expedia.
Right.
We'll go to Dino's.
Right. 26 rooms, 25 are criminals, and the 26th is the European couple that thinks they're really in Hollywood.
There's just bullets coming through the door.
You see them frightened, holding on to the Gideon Bible.
Anyway, you know who's on our show today? Patrick Long from Luft. Come here to talk about Luftgekühlt. Is that right? Luftgekühlt. We're going to get the proper pronunciation. We're going to talk about Luft 6, I believe it is, 2019.
Do you realize something?
What's that?
He is our first repeat customer.
He's our first repeat guest, other than
Yes.
Seinfeld,
Other than Jerry. Forget about
other
him.
than Jerry.
Other than Jerry.
Well, here he comes. All right, we'll be right back with Patrick Long after this. The most cost-effective way to customize your car is starting behind the wheel, so why not check out Caliper Covers? They are fully licensed with most auto manufacturers, plus a 3-year warranty, and are made here in the U.S. Let me tell you, if you want a new cover for your car, you need to check out Caliper at calipercovers.com. With MGP caliper covers, you can design your own style to enhance your car. There are so many logos to choose from, or you can use your own with any auto color. If you wanted it, you could upload the logo for Spike's Car Radio, SCR. Make that your caliper cover. You could be one of the true fans repping the SCR logo everywhere you go. So why aren't you being that fan? Why, I ask you? At calipercovers.com, pick your make, model, year, and submodel of your vehicle and select Customize to start the process. All customized orders usually ship within 10 business days. You get it? Don't design t-shirts. Don't design caps. Design caliper covers at calipercovers.com. It's easy to install and comes with a 3-year warranty and lifetime stainless steel clips. Lifetime stainless steel clips. These are made with aerospace aluminum and powder coated, and they will dissipate brake heat and reduce brake dust. I, Spike Ferriston, recommend calipercovers.com for all of you listeners of this humble broadcast. These are good guys with a good product, and right now use your promo code SPIKE10 for 10% off and free ground shipping within the continental U.S. Don't wait. Go to calipercovers.com. Use the code SPIKE10. That's calipercovers.com. Enter SPIKE10 for 10% off.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, here we are, back with Patrick Long, our first repeat guest. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Patrick
No way.
Long.
Hey, I won something already.
It was completely unintentional, but we're happy to have you here.
And we're happy that's the truth.
As far as we're concerned, you could be on the show every week. How about that?
Either that or this is the official jumping of the shark, you know?
Right.
No, thanks for having me back.
Well, I wanted to have you in to talk about Luke. First, we have a ton of questions on Instagram to get to. Just pronounce it for everyone who doesn't know how to pronounce the name of your event.
Well, I probably won't get it absolutely correct, but Luftgekühlt, the U with the umla, the U with the 2 dots at the end, that is an It's like a UE. So
Right.
that's where you got to get that drop. But
So
we
say
just
it
call
again,
it
say it
Luft. So 3 syllables, Luftgekühlt.
Luftgekühlt.
Yeah,
Luftgekühlt.
Kult. Luftgekühlt.
It's like the Urus, the Urus.
Yes.
But you just say Luft. So
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, yeah.
That'll
okay,
work.
and we're headed into Luft number 6.
Wow.
Right?
Luft
Now,
6, yeah.
Luft 6, which is an unbelievable thing. This began, I thought it began over at Deus.
That's right.
Was that the very first one?
That was.
What was this reference that someone was saying in 2014, Irvine Cars and Coffee? What is that?
I think that was at the moment in time where you took your car on a weekly basis. That was the pop-up. I think Supercar Sunday was trying to get going, or I was doing a smaller gathering in the valley, but there wasn't a lot of regular car gathering. There wasn't that pop-up coffee shop vibe that you now have 4 or 5 options in Southern California. Every weekend there's a 5 cars and coffee type angles. So for me, it was trying to mix it up, and I wasn't finding what I wanted. It's kind of back to the original Porsche expression.
Right. And so what does that look like? Are you out having beers? Was it Howie that you're partnered with, or was it Dempsey? Who's the original crew here who put this idea together, and where's the eureka moment?
Yeah, it started over coffee at Deus. I was designing a racing shoe with Howie. Howie's a guy that I go back a long way with, Howie Idelson. He's a designer and a graphic guy. He's just very, very cutting edge and has always mixed motorsport and art. And we were working on a project together, and I was driving an 86 Carrera every time we met on a weekly basis. And he started asking me questions about that, and we got into talking, and I just said, I want to throw a car party. I bring these cars out and I drive them, and people ask me questions, and I realize that here in the west side of LA, there's really no gatherings of car events. You got to drive an hour and a half at 5:30 in the morning. None of my friends want to do that. I mean, unless they're that hardcore, they didn't really want to go get up at the crack of dawn. So I said, why don't we do a 10 a.m. gathering with tacos and beer and music, and try to throw a party that would tell the story of what air-cooled Porsche was in a nutshell. So we really only had 40 cars, and how would you tell the complete story of this sickness we all subscribe to? And that's where things are today as well. It's a little bit different scale.
A little bit.
Yeah. But
by 100.
Yeah. But the hot question is how and what and why do you choose what you choose? And of course, in Southern California, the supply is the demand is more than the supply. And so it's not an easy one to continue to reinvent yourself on an annual basis when Porsche people are tough. I mean, you guys know you are Porsche people, but I still race for the factory for 15 years, and driving at Le Mans is less pressure than throwing a car party for Porsche owners.
Are your fans trying to shape the vision of Luft? Are they trying to change it? Are they critical of what you're doing?
Always.
Where do they are they writing you with their suggestions of how they want Luft to happen?
Yeah, of course. And it's always
helpful advice.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean,
have there been good suggestions where someone says, you know what, here's what I'd like to see? Or is it just all...
It's mostly self-serving, but that's human nature.
Like, what do you mean? Like, you should really put my car up there.
Yeah, exactly. You should see it my way, and you should go somewhere where we can all come and where we can all be together, and we can stare at a parking lot of 2,000 cars. And I said, why don't you go do that? That's not what I want to do.
Right.
So there's plenty of those.
But you did take this overseas, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's Luft 6, but that's Luft 6 is an annual gathering in Los Angeles. We had a couple of hybrid sort of high fives, if you will, where we took it on the road last summer and went to Europe and met some of our friends who have most of them have come to Luft, actually. They make it their trip to Los Angeles, but... we wanted to go test some other markets out, and we were blown away. Munich and Bicester in England were just two completely different shows. They had their own taste, their own style of car, their own people, their own cuisine. It was unbelievable. It was a great summer. Now,
did people just show up, or did you have a community you could reach out to and say, we would like these 20, 30 cars to show up? How did it work when you...
Yeah, there's this little app called Instagram, and you throw something up, and boom, it's like 3 weeks' notice, and we had 5,000 people in Munich. And Germans planned their lives, and we thought, all right, we would gauge the end of summer right before Oktoberfest. We would hope for about 1,200 people and about 200 cars, sort of like Bandito Brothers, Luft 2. That was kind of the scope.
Right.
And these were pop-ups. These were low notice and spontaneous, and it was more of a road trip than it was the big orchestration of a Southern California show. But yeah, Germany blew us away. England blew us away in a different kind of scale. Bicester Heritage is a place you should look up if you haven't seen it. It's like an old World War II naval base that's been converted into a car guy's dream paradise, where you have these old bunkers that are now vintage race shops and storage and detail, and it's all vintage minded. But that one, it rained as it does in England. Imagine that. I mean, it had been one of their hottest, most sunny summers in decades, but the one day we threw a party in England, it rained. And so the quality of car was just intense. The racing pedigree and heritage of Porsche in England, insane.
Yeah. How many more countries could you do this in?
Oh,
Japan, you could go. You could definitely do Japan, Australia. You could do maybe the Philippines.
yeah, we've site checked in Tokyo,
Philippines?
Sydney's.
Yeah, they have big racing heritage here.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
there's
really into it.
Yeah, Thailand
have
has
a
a
dictator,
huge
don't they?
Thailand has a huge following of Porsche and air cooled. So yes, we're looking. There's a few places on
I
the
see a
agenda.
twinkle in your
yeah,
eye.
but we
But
like to keep it. We like to keep it spontaneous.
But I've seen, maybe I'm getting ahead of things here, but I've seen how much work you put into
Yeah, I was
this.
just gonna say.
Yeah.
I hope you're making some money on this.
I'm
right?
not as old as I look, but I will thank Luft for all these forehead lines.
But where are you making money on this thing? Are you guys?
Or is it
You're
just
not
passion.
right now, it's
Well, is
building it. It's actually getting to a place where we could bring on people who know what they're doing and still preserve the look and feel and the
Right.
experience. So that's the goal right now, is just to get it to a place where it doesn't run my life.
Right,
And so
right.
that's goal number one, and we're not there yet.
And what about merch? You seem to sell out of merch. Like by the time Zuckerman and I fake our way through the because we forget our tickets, all the shirts are everything's gone. So it seems like you guys have an enthusiastic audience of people who just want anything that you're selling, right?
Yeah, I mean, we operate at Luft the way that we would do it ourselves. It's
right.
not this preconceived attack notion of let's tease this and then make 3 less. It's basically what we can afford to pre-print with very little funds in the tank.
Right.
And so we often don't have enough quantity to fulfill everybody's
see.
needs. But we're learning. This year, our merch will be available in parallel online. So if you're drinking a beer and sitting in the sun, you don't have to go wait in a line to get the T-shirt. You can go right onto your phone and order
there
it.
you go.
Or if you're not at the show, it should be available. I don't know. We'll see how fast it
Sounds
sells.
like this is something that Live Nation should be looking at. Like one of these giant, companies that can put this stuff on all over the world.
I think there is a fine line because the cars and the people are what tells Luft's story. We're not, creating something that hasn't been done for decades, but the who. The people who show up and the level of car is what makes Luft. I don't think it's just another car show. I think it's who shows up. So if we did it every weekend, I think it would dilute it. But we definitely want to serve some new markets. I admit that Jeff Swart and I had lunch today, and we were looking at some of the questions on your Instagram, and people want to know what's up with the East Coast. And that is one we've been looking at for a long time. But one thing for people who haven't been to Luft to try and understand is our car show revolves around the venue. Everything is a domino effect from the venue. We refuse to go to golf courses or racetracks or open parking lots. So
it's
you
atmospheric.
You have to have that venue.
So let's talk about that venue this year. It's
Yeah.
NBC Universal.
Yeah.
The Backlot.
Have you heard of that place?
I have. I've heard of it. May 11th, Luftgekühlt 6 is going to be in the back lot of Universal Studios. Lots of beautiful backdrops, lots of streets, lots of city streets where we shoot TV shows and movies.
Insane.
How did you get that without that costing you an arm and a leg? I have a production company. I know it like a lot.
An
costs,
insider.
Hangar costs.
It is costing me an arm and a leg.
I know what it costs
the
to get
truth.
tickets for the rides for my son's birthday party. Nearly bankrupted me 2 weeks ago, and I had to get 10 of his friends in. So did you just call the studio manager and say, "Hey, we want to rent this space"? Did he have awareness of who you are and what you were doing? Tell me about that process.
Yeah, well, there's no mystery that there's a great crossover between Porsche owners and people who work in the movie business.
Right.
So everybody on the lots has a Porsche.
Yeah.
And so it was really poking around and trying to find that angle. Jeff Swart is a huge influence and has been there from day one at Luft. And we were desperate to find a venue this year.
Big enough with the infrastructure. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. How do you try to keep this as engaging and welcoming and inclusive without just saying, "Oh, we're going to go to Fontana and throw another parking lot show." And so it was a scrape this year, and it is a scrape every year to try and reinvent yourself, not only to find the venue, but then to try and obtain that trust, work with the local city, the authorities, try to tell them that you want to bring 500 Porsches into a small corral full of fuel, and people walking around. It's not easy. So,
but you do have built-in parking wrapped around the studios, which is great. You really are right, because there are so many network presidents, and there are a couple of studio presidents that I know who will message me and go, "Hey, I'm a car guy. Do you want to go driving, or what should I get?" And you're right. They're there. They're sitting right there.
Look back, Hollywood and
You're
Porsches.
right.
You guys probably talk
Exactly.
about it a lot. So to be direct, we had a venue scout from the movie business, and when he showed us a list, we had always talked about and dreamt about going to a backlot, whatever, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Sony. That was something I believe Howie talked about after year one. Like, could we actually pull this off? And then anybody that we ever brought that up to, like, hey, can you get us an intro here that unions, cost,
I know.
What's the saying? Every light switch that's turned on.
And it's
so
the weekend.
And we were scared to death of that. And,
Right.
and we really never took it serious. But this year was the year to, I mean, after the last few years in the venues, every single year we said, we should just breathe it for a year and take a year off, because how are we going to beat Ganal Lumber, or how are we going to beat the Port, or how are we going to beat Modernica? And this is kind of the last straw. You know, it was like, can we wrestle the big one?
And there's such a history of, you know, when you think back of like James Garner and Steve McQueen, you know, wrapping up for the day and getting in that car. They've got that choice spot right by the door. You know what I mean? There's such, you can see where this is headed, right? That's what you're thinking, right? It's not going to be
it's natural
the
territory.
Minions. It's not going to be the Minions, the one eye next to a car. This is the rich history of Hollywood and cars brought to life with the backdrop of the actual stages that made the movies.
Yeah, and I won't
That's amazing.
I won't overpromise that this isn't going to be movie themed, if you will. But where our show has evolved is into these pictures. It's more like walking through a gallery, an art gallery. You kind of see your cars, you see your pictures, and you move through. And in this case, Jeff Zwart does such a great job of curating these key photographs of something that you might walk by 100 times and not ever envision a Porsche being parked next to it.
And yeah, absolutely. And then that was what you really nailed at Ganal Lumber, because you had settings in Ganal Lumber that were epic settings for epic cars. And it was so, and I thought to myself, and I'm glad you're telling me, you know, what the backstory is in that, because I wondered to myself, like, how the fuck did they know to put a Gamoon car there, to put, you know, whatever RSR there. It was just so well thought out. And I was thinking, did this just happen by accident?
No, I mean,
just
there's
dropped from the sky,
there's talent beyond the years I've been on this planet in some of the people who help us out. But the eye is everything. When we went to Bicester and when we went to Munich, they couldn't have been more different as far as venues. One is in the smack dab in the middle of Munich. The other one is out in the outskirts of rural UK. But that eye of how you design, basically, and how you pop something up, that's the thing. We walk these venues for 6 months. We live there on a weekly basis. It's not just, here's your piece of land and just stack as many cars into there as you can, and then everybody leaves at 2:00.
And it's, you know, because you put your camera up to take a picture and it's already beautifully set up, right? The backdrop is sitting there, and that, you know, I noticed Zwart's eye in the last Luftgekühlt. I went, oh, he did that. Was he helping you place cars last year, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. He was there the whole night?
Yeah, he's there the whole night, right?
Yeah, we did 38 hours
this is
straight.
the shot I was thinking of right here. This is Steve McQueen in 1960 at Goldwyn Studio in Hollywood with his XKSS, and he's with director John Sturges. But, you know, to me, that's the vibe, right?
Exactly.
We've been growing up seeing these pictures, and there's going to be an element of this at Luft, right?
And that's what we try to do, is create those photos that will survive well past Luft or whatever
Look
we're
at
up
these
to.
guys.
You know?
Well, absolutely. You still have people posting everyday pictures from the Ganal Lumber show.
That's right.
All the time I see it, and I'm always amazed. It really had staying power.
Like you, Zuckerman. Staying power.
Up and all
I
until
got staying power,
until
Spike.
9:30 at night when I pass out.
Especially since I gave up the peanut M&Ms.
Yeah.
I can stay up all night. We'll be right back with more Spike's Car Radio after this. You know what? There are a lot of weird things you find in cars, and I'm not talking about garden variety petrified French fries or melted crayons or crumbs. I'm talking about live snakes, bizarre artifacts, the kind of stuff that just makes you wonder about people. Another thing that will make you wonder, but in a good way, are Continental belts. Bet you didn't know they're OE in tens of millions of Chrysler, Dodge, and Ford GM vehicles that roll off the assembly line. They're also OE on the majority of BMWs and VWs. Now, Continental is launching the aftermarket multi-V belt with the OE pedigree. It's their OE Technology Series, belts that are fanatically engineered for perfect fit, form, and function. And Continental has an OE Technology Series multi-V belt for 98% of the vehicles on the road in the United States and Canada. Hey, you get enough surprises working on cars and trucks, a belt should not be one of those surprises. Go with the Continental OE Technology Series multi-V belt, the belt with the OE pedigree. To get the full story, visit oetechnologyseries.com. oetechnologyseries.com.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
And we're back! We needed to take another break, right? That was good? Are we okay, Will? Thank you. We've got a lot of sponsors these days. We're with Patrick Long, professional racing driver, and one of just a few of Porsche's factory racing drivers. How many are there exactly?
You know what?
There
I've
10 of
lost
you guys?
track. There's a heck of a lot more than there were when I started, but now I'm telling old war stories. I would say there's probably 25 globally these days. One from North America, still holding on.
We're talking Luft 6, which is May 11th, on the back lot of Universal Studios. You were, as I got out of my truck and headed upstairs, I noticed that beautiful panorama down the stairs. And you have one of those Dempsey deals, right, where you get a free car every 6 months.
Yeah, I'm still holding that deal.
And tell everyone the car you're in right now? It's so beautiful.
I'm in a Sport Turismo, so
Yep.
the shooting brake or the wagon, and it's the turbo model.
And what color is that? It was a burgundy of some kind. I couldn't tell in the
I
dark.
actually think the technical code is burgundy, but I'm gonna get a wrist slap from the marketing people for not knowing what the color's called technically.
Yes,
It's
because
a
you are a
red
brand
wine.
ambassador. Is that what it is? That's
yeah,
the title?
Yeah,
Mr. Long, present your wrists.
I guess
Present your wrist for a slapping
Yes.
for not knowing the color.
The ambassador, he should have like a jacket with epaulets. I am the brand ambassador and two little flags
the
on the front.
ambassador's here.
Technically, I'm a contractor for the Volkswagen Group.
Really?
So
That sounds sinister.
All right. Well, as that, let me ask you this because it was all over the place this morning. Jalopnik had it this morning, but they were referencing an autocar story that Porsche might bring back the 928. 928? You're making a what?
I know nothing. No, I honestly don't.
Well,
I've been living under a party planner's rock.
But if you look at the two-door Panamera, here's a shot. This is probably a rendering, right?
Oh,
It's
I like
kind of a 928, right? The
That's
engine's
cool.
in the front. It's
Yeah,
got two doors.
It's a two-door, shorter wheelbase
And
Panamera.
And what was this I saw about a Cayenne coupe? Like one of
That's
these.
actually made, right?
happening.
They're
That's
actually
happening.
happening. Yeah,
But
that's
how do
already
you
been
feel
out in
about
Malibu.
that, Patrick? If I can put you on the spot,
It's not my jam.
It's,
no.
I never got it when it was a Benz or a BMW. Like I always thought, like, what the fuck is that car? I don't understand what it's trying to be. It reminds me of an updated AMC Eagle in the way in its whole posture, stance. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think there is the demographic who wants a car and wants an SUV, and they're not decided. But for me, it's one or the other.
Let's get down to some questions here. Our old friend Flat Six Sicko, whose hair is thicker? Spike, yours or Patrick's? I would say Patrick's for sure.
I'm
You
the one who
definitely have
can
the better
answer.
hairdresser.
I have the better hairdresser. Patrick, what are your personal recommendations for tires on early 911s? With a 1971 911T with the options are limited for 15x6, 15x7 wheels. That's from Motor Affair.
Ooh, 185, 70, 15, CN36.
Just in general, yeah, it's CN36s.
Yep, that's what I'm
Pirellis?
running. Yeah.
Yeah, those are great, right?
They've updated the construction and the compound, but the original look is there. The high. I like a old school, big sidewall tire. Does nothing for me to see a 70s car on a high performance modern tire. It's
Yeah. Apex Dream Cars wants to know what, and this is a good question, I like this. What is the car, the unicorn car, that Luft has not been able to secure yet? Is there one?
There's quite a few. We have a long list, and we usually field phone calls and ideas. We don't really set out to find the specific car. I would say the one car that I lust to race and also have at Luft would be the 9083. So the short
You
wheelbase
didn't have that?
Spider.
Well, we know who to call.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, have
That's
you guys
easy.
got any friends with Porsche collectors?
We know one guy.
We might be able to make this happen.
We know one guy who's got the car that won Nürburgring.
I've driven that car on the track. It is
I am envious.
sweet.
Yeah,
and
short
easy
wheelbase,
and beautiful
fast,
to drive.
Spider.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Those two. That one and the IROC. The 74 IROC stand out as two of the easiest cars I've ever driven that are vintage race cars.
9083. That wouldn't be a problem.
We've not had an IROC either.
Well, Jerry doesn't have that car anymore. He sold that car.
Yeah, that car gets sold at auction.
And that was the car that really broke my heart.
But who has two?
Does Bruce Meyer have one?
A fella by the name of Chris Cox, I believe, has two of them.
Chris
and I believe
what?
Chris Cox, Beavis and Butthead joke.
Oh,
You're gonna...
Cox. You said Cox.
My staying power, Spike. My car.
Mr. Chuck It Off.
I believe that's his name. But I'm pretty sure both those cars are in Santa Monica, right near the airport.
Really?
He's got the orange one and the Mexico
Two
blue
of
one.
them.
He's got
two. Motherfucker.
Was Jerry's the Fittipaldi car, the beige car?
The yellow car.
Yellow. That never got raced, right?
Oh, wow.
No, it got raced.
It did?
Yeah, it just never got crashed.
That car made me crazy looking at it.
It was spectacular.
Crazy.
And loud and wildly
All right,
fun.
so
and
IROC
legal feeling.
9083, what else? Anything else?
Oh, there's quite a few. We got teased by Bruce Meyer this year. He's like, I'm bringing the 910, and then he called back. He's like, oh, I'm out of town that weekend, so we're
come
gonna save
on,
it.
Bruce.
So Bruce
Save it
got
for
me,
what?
I guess the future.
Yeah, what's he saving it for? Yeah, that would be a fantastic car to have.
That's an awesome car.
All right, Goose Control wants to know why Mother's Day weekend? Why, of all weekends? I guess he likes his mom. Goose Control. Is it Mother's Day weekend?
All our wives and moms wanted to go to Luft for their Mother's Day.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what we.
Oh, this
that's
is
what
a
we do.
wonderful, smart idea.
Is it
I
a
love
Saturday
this.
or Sunday?
It's a Saturday for that reason.
Yeah,
But
it's a
the
Saturday.
honest
It's not Mother's
answer
Day.
is we wanted April 20th, which was what we had thrown for last year's party date. But Easter Passover fell on that weekend this year, so we thought, we'll probably leave that one. And then selfishly, the 3 weeks around Luft, I have races. So
There you go.
But I don't need to be there. I mean,
Fuck
that's what I'm
them.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weekend that worked for us. It's a Saturday. People are going to get if it's only Mother's Day in North America or maybe only in the U.S. So everybody can still get home for Sunday
It's
morning.
an overblown holiday anyway.
I will not agree with you.
No, if you screw up Mother's Day, you're in trouble. There's so many divorces on the Monday after Mother's Day.
That's not true. It's
Yes, it
it's
is.
after New Year's.
Google it, Zuckerman. Google it.
Get
your Googler out.
I'm going to check that out. I don't believe it. I
There's
believe that
nothing-
most divorces happen.
Watch
most divorces
what you are
happen
gonna-
right after the holidays.
You're gonna, yeah, and one of those holidays is Mother's Day.
I'm talking Christmas and New Year's.
No,
Ferriston.
when a mom is not recognized for the hard work that she does
Let me ask
all
you a
year
question.
long.
do
I'm
we
making a
treat it
statement
equally
here.
on Father's Day?
We don't need any treatment. We're fathers. We're fine.
All right, so you're fine getting
Get
ripped
Get me a
off.
belt. Get me nothing. I don't care.
I'd rather have nothing, frankly,
yes.
than a belt.
We take care of ourselves, don't we, gentlemen?
So Spike, you're not coming to Luft this year, I guess.
Of course I am. But I'm going to buy the appropriate gift. What I read was a funny stat about women divorce their husbands if they're not celebrated on that day. That there are a number of women who have done so. That's all.
I don't doubt it.
But I don't think. Do you? I mean, for Father's Day, do you quite care? You're not. I don't care.
I told you what I
want.
wanted my wife to do for Father's Day.
What is that?
Don't you remember that story?
No. Go
She
ahead.
asked me what I wanted. You certainly do remember. I said, she said, once said to me, what would you like for Father's Day? And I said, I want you to get a sandwich board sign that says, I'm a pain in the ass, and stand in front of the market for all the neighbors.
Oh dear,
to
Zuckerman.
see. To see.
Yes, I laughed at the phrase sandwich board, but not
Like, where's he going with this?
sandwich board. Because sometimes you really
And
you're like a guy taken right out of the 40s, Zuckerman, like Mo from the Three Stooges. Put on
She
your
asked
sandwich
me, I
board.
answered.
Curly.
I don't want
And
another.
how did
I
she
don't
respond to that?
She laughed. She thought it
Good.
was stupid.
Okay, she thought it was funny. All right,
Yeah.
that's fine. All right, let's get back to some serious questions here.
Serious.
You're right. These people are just passionate and a little nuts about this event. How many emails did you get?
I don't
and
even
submissions,
Yeah.
I mean, so how many cars will you accept as far as that you're going to show them versus how many applications do you get?
We were 2/3 of the cars we couldn't admit this year.
Right.
So
You'll be displaying how many cars, though?
About 350 cars this year.
Wow.
Okay.
So last year we were over 600. So it's a smaller show per footprint.
Right.
But,
You know what? I know
I like that.
my neighbor was rejected.
So everyone I know was rejected.
Yeah,
and
he
they-
came
and-
over the other
and
day, and he was just like, I got rejected.
A couple of my friends said, "Can you do something?" I said, "No.
Yeah, you gotta-
I don't have the seating
Now, hold on.
chart."
But I said, you got to imagine, and he was fine. He was not that. He understood. But I said, you got to imagine these guys are getting thousands and thousands of submissions.
People are really hurt.
Huh?
People take it personally. They
my
view
friend
it-
was not. My neighbor was
Okay,
not hurt.
people view it
but he
as
just
like
he would
their
chuckled at it. but-
cars were told they were invalidated, which isn't true. You
No.
just have
No, you guys.
we picked 30% of the cars that were submitted to fulfill a few stories that we were trying to tell.
Right.
Like, it's not a personal
No,
thing.
I
It
know
was not,
it's not.
And it goes back to this is where I get a little passionate. So it
Right.
goes back to the first Luft. I had 40 cars to tell a complete story. So there was an original 27 RS parked next to a rusty 912, and Luft has always been about that story of walking around and understanding what all these little subgroups meant.
Right.
And then from there, we've tried to celebrate little different pockets or clusters, if we
Right.
call them. We want fresh product. We want people who are driving from all over. Last year, we had 48 of 50 states in attendance and 22 countries of different
Crazy.
attendees. So there's a lot of different stuff to fish from. And this year we want to tell the story of the 914. So there's some really, really ratty 1.7 914s that came over the top of one of 12 unicorns. And that's just how the cookie crumbles.
right.
Wow.
I get it. You have it. I do
Can you
not
tell us-
envy your job. I don't envy you. It's an impossible task.
Can you tell us any of the 914s that'll be there? Some of the special ones?
I
Will
bet there's
they?
some GTs.
Yeah, we haven't released any of that, but I'll tell you that the
Lufthansa
marathon
car?
car is coming. The Lufthansa's car is coming. The marathon car is probably one of my most exciting cars this year.
Now, why? What's the marathon car?
So
Just-
one of 3 cars, factory cars from, I believe, 1970. Marathon de la Route was a 3 times 24-hour race at the Nürburgring, back to back to back. And this is one of the 3 cars. I mean, this is goosebumps. And
Yeah.
it's coming from the Collier Collection, the Revs Institute, all the way from Naples, Florida. And those are the types of things that we love. They're also going to bring the 917 PA. I'm going to get torn up for giving this all out, but this is fun. 917 PA, the original Spider that of 917s, open top, naturally aspirated.
way.
Just some fun stuff coming from the East Coast this year. And there'll be lots of stuff in between.
Wow.
Never-ending gobstopper. Wow.
And you got to buy tickets. Now, are you guys sold out already?
Yeah, we're done. In 30 hours, 30
Zuckerman.
hours, it was, we saw sales in 30 hours that we saw in 2 weeks last year. And last year was a big show. This is a bigger attendance than we've ever had.
Wow.
And we sent one direct email. We didn't put it up on social. And it sold out from
That's
one direct
amazing.
email.
Now, is there a secondary market for tickets? Are people now selling tickets
Scalping?
on StubHub? Or
That happened a little bit last year, and that's one of the questions I saw is we've announced that it is non-transferable because Universal
There
has
you go.
tight security. They have real security. You're on their
Right,
property and
right.
on a back lot,
Wow.
so they have a list of all people in
That's
attendance.
right.
So if you forget your tickets at home and you try to show up in an Alpha and talk your way in, you will
like
not
we
be
did
admitted.
last year.
You boob.
I
That
know.
was hysterical.
That was a senior moment. That was a really horrifying moment in my life. And, you know,
that whole thing was hysterical driving.
well, there are
an
lots of
Alpha.
questions here, Zuckerman, about where can we get a captain's hat like Zuckerman's and an Alfa Romeo to drive. It was...
Call Ted Sarandos. He's got
Yes.
the Alpha now.
That's right, from Ted Sarandos of Netflix. And I will tell you from personal experience working in the entertainment industry that I remember once driving onto the Fox lot and they didn't have my name there and they said, you can't come in. And I pointed up at a billboard that had my face on it. And I said, well, I'm your late night host. And they said, you still can't come in. That's the level of security at a studio lot. That's the level of security.
And listen,
So-
we get it. It's there are lines, there are shuttles, there are all kinds of things that people would prefer to just drive to their neighborhood strip mall and park their car and leave when they want, come when they want, and not pay a
Good,
thing.
eh?
And there are plenty of those options.
Andrew Lord wants to know, are you going to come back to Great Britain anytime or anywhere else in Europe?
Yes, we had fun in the UK. It won't be this year. again, it's all led by that right venue and timing. I still earn my living as a racing driver. I have 21 race weekends this year away from my family, and Jeff Swart is still a director and a movie buff. So it has to work for everybody's schedule.
Okay, now I'm just thinking Italy would be amazing. Sicily, where the Targa Florio is.
Yeah.
Boy, you can imagine recreating that famous curve that's in those pictures.
Admittedly, I'm scared to death of movement
Italian
or
freight?
driving, but I do
for insurance reasons.
Yeah, just liability. I want to find that event one day where we do either a hill climb or a road rally or a track day. But right now, static has me busy enough.
Right.
But we have a great partnership with Pirelli, and they've invited us to Milan, and they sent us some amazing backdrops and facilities. So Italy's definitely on the list.
Is there a big party at the Peterson? Sal Ferraro wants to know. Is there a pre-Luft party at our friends
show up
for
tomorrow.
the Peterson Auto Museum? There is.
There is, and I just came from there with Michael Bodell. They're only down the street from where we're sitting right now. We have a new space that they've never used before at an event, which will be the VIP lounge. I think there's still a few tickets left. Momo has stepped up to celebrate a new car and debut a new car, and we'll also have...
Momo has a new car?
Yeah.
The steering wheel manufacturer is making cars.
Put the clues together.
Okay.
It's a build that
I
has
see.
some Momo connection to
I like it.
As well as we'll have a very, very cool car that I've never seen in person back from the vintage racing days. That's a Momo car. So that'll be cool. And then we're also doing air meets water. So I saw a few questions about, what about water-cooled cars? When does my GT3, my 996 GT3 get to play on a Luft weekend?
Right.
So we've opened up the deck. One deck will be air. One deck will be water. A little bit of a West Side Story face-off.
What's the German word for water cooler?
Wasser.
That's right.
Wasserkult.
Wasserkult.
Wasser.
Zuckerman, that's what we do. Wasserkult.
Ein bisschen Wasser, bitte.
Yes. You know how to say diarrhea in German?
Oh, God, Zuckerman. Come
Stuhlwasser.
on, please.
Shit water.
Yeah. So
the Germans are very
So the pre-Luft
direct.
party tickets we can find at Peterson Museum's website?
Correct.
Okay, so you can go there and get those tickets. So if you missed out on Luft, you can at least go to the pre-Luft party and see Patrick and everybody there. That's not a question, sir. Cayenne Coupe, yay or nay? I think we covered that. Luft in Australia, will there ever be? Possibly. They are definitely deserving of one. People joking about the Alpha.
Again, really?
And over again, Zuckerman.
We had Farah in that car, too. I think
Matt Farah. That's right.
Yeah, that was...
I jumped in with you guys. That was pretty funny.
He was going to go, and then Zuckerman said, why don't we go together? And then Matt Farah said, can you give me a ride? His car was busted.
The only car with a back seat I had was that Alpha.
So that was the only car we had an extra seat in for Matt
we didn't have
Farah,
the
and he
shocks
could barely
for it.
fit in that one.
We were scraping the tires on
There
the way
was
down.
not a lot of shoulder room left in that car.
And I was waltzing out the door late because I was making breakfast for my boys, and you have kids, and you know how they'll ask you 1,000 questions in 30 seconds. My head was scrambled, and I just needed to get into the truck, and I forgot the stuff.
You had been up all night long, and like total boobs, we're calling you. You had so much to do, and like complete idiots. But we're like, we don't have
Patrick's
our tickets.
an amazing person.
Yeah, he took
We knew
care
he
of
would
it
take
with
care of
good
us.
humor.
And the bottom line, it wasn't about who you are. It's that you guys have
We
supported
had bought
this
tickets.
thing. You supported this thing from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the 8-ball at Luft 2.
Yep.
You've brought a ton of great cars. I mean, you drove that Carrera on the street the day before the ice racer.
It was so much fun.
And that is not a paid display.
Yes.
You guys have had our back from day one.
Now, I hope you keep that in mind that we're late buying tickets to this year's event.
Whoops.
We'll
I guess you don't have tickets either.
figure that
Call
out. Let's
Jerry.
get off. You know what? That's right. You know what we'll do? We'll trade a 9083 for some tickets.
Yes.
Yes, we'll
We
leverage
will
this
hook
guy,
that-
Zuckerman. We'll leverage him. Yeah.
Jerry's got something new coming to Luft this year that I'm excited about.
He
I
does.
don't know if I'm supposed to connect him to that car or
Oh,
tell
well, let's
people.
not
but
yet.
yeah,
Let's
so-
not yet. Well, that's a nice surprise.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We'll just bring his face as the ticket. Here's our ticket. That guy. Point at his face.
Is he going to be out here?
He better.
I don't know.
I don't know that he is, but
Really?
maybe
His car will be.
His car will be. Here's a non-Luft question. Upgraded flat fours. What are y'all's choice for the best one? Wilhoit Polo or Roth Sport Emery? All great choices, by the way. Right?
I
But
wish I could afford one of any of those.
I mean, aren't they all just wonderful in their own way?
They're all, and they are. I've never been in a Roth Sport one. I know Will Hoyt does a terrific job of putting together a 2.1 that really does the trick and is really dependable. And then I drove Jerry's.
Spectacular.
Yeah, and the torque from that 6-cylinder cut down to 4 was really.
But he had to do a little bit of a modification to the rear deck lid because the engine didn't fit in the car. It kind of stuck out a little bit.
We laughed so hard, like they make this engine for the car and it doesn't fit in the car.
Well, that specific car, yeah.
Yes.
But then when he did the work and we drove the car, it's spectacularly fast,
really
right?
did deliver.
How
the
many
ways.
horsepower is that? Because my Will Hoyt motor's 150, right? And that's plenty.
Okay, I think the Polis motor didn't have a lot more horsepower, but it had a lot more torque. It really got you moving.
Yeah. And then Rod Emery, whatever he does, I mean, he's creating some amazing stuff.
You put
right?
Rod and Jeff Gamrot together, those are two racers. Those are two guys that will burn the midnight oil for days.
And they'll come up with something diabolical.
Yeah.
And which we're interested to see this RSR from Rod.
Yeah, and then you add some baby. I think they're Garrett's little turbos to the back. I mean that's an exciting.
That thing
car.
is gonna. The thing is.
They Borg Warner.
If it wasn't Rod doing it, I wouldn't get behind the wheel. Like if it was some other guy, you'd be like, I'm not getting in that car. But Rod is.
You'd lose your mind, Zuckerman, if you went over to his workshop.
I don't want
to.
There,
you lose your mind.
I've always been afraid to go to Rod's.
You have to go.
But you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I might as well just be bringing. I'd be better at just bring hundreds of thousands of dollars and say, here, Rod.
Yeah.
No, he's got a really good plan. You just pay like $15,000 a month. You just pay as you go. It's good. You just
Look at you convincing me. You're giving Zuckerman to Zuckerman.
I'm going to, when I have a little extra dough, I'm going to do a car with Rod. I want to build a speedster race car.
You just made paying $15,000 a month sound like nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, all you do is pay $15,000 a month. It's really not a big deal.
And if you don't make your payments, you go to the back of the line. So you're incentivized. But then at the end of it, you get a wonderful creation that I think Rod's one of those builders that these cars are going to be, you're going to have to pay a premium in the future.
And I feel so strongly that he has such integrity and he's such a good guy. You would not be satisfied with one. The experience would be good. You would just be doing it permanently.
You, Zuckerman. You'd have to get more of them.
Yeah.
And I think that the experience of Rod and his team is probably the coolest part of that whole organization. It's a family business, as we know Rod's story. It's unbelievable. He said he's bringing 6 new cars next week.
Only 6?
I mean, I don't know
Where does
how
he
he
get
does
the
it.
energy. I don't know how he does it either.
6 new cars to Luft.
Yeah, that have not been to a Luft before. So he runs hard. I'll be in Europe and text him, and I know he's at the shop at 4 a.m. So I never feel bad about what's right.
And he always has a smile on his face.
Yep, one of the best guys I've ever met. Yeah.
This is exciting. Wow. Well, I'm all juiced up now.
Canopus going to be bringing crap?
Oh, yeah. Bruce is on it. I think he's got 4 or 5 cars.
Really?
We have a race car build out that he has 2 of the 3 cars in. I think he's bringing another one of his 959s that he's been building. And so, yeah, Bruce is a great friend. And we had some fun at Rensport this year driving 917s together. That guy still goes really fast.
He's a hot foot.
Very fast, yeah. And not afraid to throw a wheel to you.
Not afraid.
Universal actually has been amazing to work with on the event side and the production side. And they've rolled the red carpet out for us. I believe that there's a full feature Universal production that will stop for Luft on the weekend, bring everything remotely off, and then resume on Monday. So our strike is pretty aggressive to get out of there after the show. So we end at a hard 3 p.m. and then it's everybody out. And I think there's a few after parties around town because we've never done a Saturday. So there'll be some good gatherings around town on Saturday, and then Mother's Day Sunday morning.
What are the after parties?
Keep your marriage
Where are
together.
the after parties?
I think
fun.
I think Marco's trying to pull one together.
Girassi?
I think he's trying to pull one together.
TLG.
I think there's a few.
Wow.
There's some stuff Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and then I think everybody's.
Well, you guys, you've done a great job at reinventing the car show and kind of getting us out of the tubby
I'm
old.
so impressed.
The tubby old guy with the cargo shorts with his hands in his pockets just staring at cars and telling me what's wrong with the car. You really have reinvented it. You've gotten me going back to car shows when I didn't want to go anywhere near them anymore. So you are to be congratulated, Patrick Long, our first returning guest to Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for having me back.
And party applause.
Thank you.
Before we go, I thought maybe we would play our new jingle out of the show. This is from the John Lovitz episode of Spike's Car Radio, and I thought we just incorporate it as something, as a way to just end every episode. So see you guys next week. Again, this is John Lovitz singing about me. But it's been great.
Oh, Mr. Spike Ferriston likes it in the kitchen, likes it in the kitchen, likes it in the kitchen. Mr. Spike Ferriston likes it in the kitchen. Kitchen, of course, is code for butt. Oh, you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth. Spike takes it up the butt. You wake up in the morning and you brush your hair. Spike Ferriston takes it up the butt. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Simple as ABC.
This is nice. I like this.
You wake up in the morning and you take a breath of air. Spike Ferriston takes it up the butt.
Quick before we go, 60 seconds. That's exactly how long this commercial lasts. You know what else you can do in about a minute? Get an offer with your car from TrueCar. That's right. In the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, do a few sit-ups, just listen to my voice, you can get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or at home. Just go to TrueCar and simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Answer a few questions and you'll get an accurate true cash offer from local TrueCar certified dealer. It's that easy. After that, you can bring your car in and they'll check it out with you together, the two of you. You can even hug if you want. You can ask questions, get the answers you need so there's no surprises, and simply leave your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a new, better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.